Hello and welcome. This is Kristen from the Online Selling Show, and I'm here with another weekly vlog on St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day to you all. It is a beautiful day. It is 63 degrees here in southern New Jersey. Spring has sprung and my allergies are sure letting me know that. Anyway, this particular week in growing this channel, I realized that I really need to get back to getting my listings on. I did start last week, but one of the problems I faced last week was I was doing it on my phone in the mobile app, and I was not finding a place where it was allowing me to schedule listings, so I just had to put them up as I was working on them. This week, I'm going to have to designate 2 days. I'm feeling it's probably going to be Wednesday and Thursday to working inside on my desktop and working on getting the full week's stuff scheduled in those 2 days. So I have to get at least 21 listings up. That will be on Thursday and Friday, Wednesday and Thursday. Because Monday and Tuesday, I do, between today and tomorrow, have some listings that I have to get done for the other business that is the wholesale business, the one that I would consider to be my full-time job. I had a Christmas/Easter delivery arrive last week and one coming this week, and I need to get them done and available up on the platforms over there for them to be selling. So I do believe today and tomorrow is what I will focus on and getting them out of here. I made some mentions last week that I really was getting to a point where I need some time off. I need to have designated weekends again. And one of the other things I made a notice of was that my going to an estate sale proved to me I am not on top of my game anymore right now with all these months being off. I need to brush up on those skills and get so that I can be really, when I'm ready to start sourcing, able to be right back into the game of doing this. So I did look ahead. We have some estate sales this week. I do have to start in my mind focusing on keeping Fridays for estate sales. And of course, even though I may take my weekends off, I am still not that foolish that I'm not going to be going to sales on Saturday. I just want to be able to disconnect and not have to worry that I'm, guilty because I didn't get listings up or something like that. So I need to work on getting them done during the week. So those things I'm looking at right now: Monday, Tuesday, get the wholesale business listings done. Wednesday, Thursday, get the listings done for this new eBay endeavor. And then Friday, do some sales. Probably Saturday, do some sales. And then Sunday, just not worry about any of this stuff. But that leaves me with Whatnot. I do still feel that Whatnot is going to be a cornerstone in the foundation of bringing in good income for myself. And the way that you're going to get success over there, I know, is staying consistent and building your followers. So I am going to start to commit myself to 4 shows a week. Right now, this particular week, I do have a scheduled Christmas show this evening. I have the craft themed one for tomorrow where I want to just blow out all my stuff I'm not using anymore. Wednesday night, I do believe, is the vintage toys. And I'm going to have Thursday night scheduled for the kid and baby stuff. That's the plan I'm setting up for this week. One of the things I can tell you, if you looked at last week's, was that I really didn't do that well with the coupons and the sale over the weekend. I don't know if things have now just run their course. I had planned to give that stuff to charity and get rid of it in the beginning of this month, but things were selling pretty regularly. I will give it to the end of the month. If I'm not selling 4 or 5 items over a weekend with these sales running, I feel like it is then going to be time. My plan this week is I will start the 40% off coupon on Wednesday, run that through till Sunday, and then starting on Friday evening through Sunday evening, run the additional 50% for the store sale. We'll see if that kicks anything into gear for more sales. I'm not sure, but I'm hoping between the consistent listings now going back up and then this sales for the goods that we can start seeing some really consistent and better valued items coming through. That's what we'll see what happens. There is something I found on the Facebook groups that somebody is looking to clearance out their store. They have a lot of vintage Christmas, and there's supposedly going to be a sale going up in 2 weeks. Mental note made, because that will be one I really want to get to. So that's what we have so far this week. I will check back with how the rest of this is going. It's Kristen, and I am here for the midweek check-in. I am moving along. We're getting things done. I have now had 2 Whatnot shows. I had a Christmas show, my second one ever, on Monday, and people were buying. I'll get into that in a minute. And I had a second one of my craft room de-stash, as we call it. That is just where we're looking to get rid of our stuff out of our craft rooms. We call them de-stashes. And that went on last night. I am starting to see growth. I'm starting to see followers. I'm starting to see repeat buyers come back. I'm starting to see them going from one show and showing up in another show for me. So that is really starting to get some momentum. That is great to see. I have said I plan on seeing that as part of now the growth of getting that 6-figure income. And I want to say I'm going to expect that to be 1/3 to 1/2 of probably what that 6-figure income is going to be. I should go back and mention that I don't expect to be making a huge amount of profit right now, because I am just looking to get back the money out of the goods that I've already had put the money out for. It's either the dead stock that has been written off out of my retail business that is coming into this with a 0 cost of goods attached to it, or it's stuff like right now I just sold, which was great for this marketplace. Some of those things that were in my death pile that had been sitting there was those ornaments I bought at the one 4-H fair, where they were clear, they were glittery, they were so hard for me to think how I was going to get pictures for that. I've just been basically just ignoring them all this time. And now this was the perfect platform. I did pay $3. I got back my $3 and probably about another $10 in profit. Nothing huge, but this right now is all about me getting that death pile just slayed, getting beyond that. One of the other things I'm doing right now is I did pick up on Facebook Marketplace a lot of boy clothes and a lot of girl clothes, and they happen to both be the same size of all things. But I'm wanting to start getting myself familiar with what is the Target brands, what are the Walmart brands, like, you know, what is that cheap, what's the Shein stuff tags look like, so that when I get into the season and things are really popping, I can readily just get in there, make my decisions, and move on and know what those things are. And I have to educate myself during that period of time. Also, I want to see what is the highest price point I can pay for these goods. And the only way I'm going to know that is by starting to see what buyers are willing to pay for on the platform for used goods. So by right now buying these things, and I paid maybe 50 cents an item for it, if that, between 30 and 50 cents. We'll see. Let me do this as a trial run, get my fingers into it, start figuring it out, so that when the season really is hopping, I can be hopping too. What it has done for me also, though, is it is throwing my whole schedule off, I'll be honest, because those shows coming at the later part of the night means I got to have this higher energy level later in my day, into my night. And I'm a night owl anyway, but it's backing up my whole cycle here, and it's leaving me in the mornings, getting up a little bit later, having to deal with all the business behind the businesses, having to deal with my personal stuff, making these videos later in the day. And then what I'm finding is, it does take time to sort through that death pile, kind of get things sorted out to what I want to put on eBay, what I want to put into what show, getting those shows, basically staged for the different time periods, because I don't always have, some of the stuff is getting put up into some of those drawers afterwards. And it's going. I'm happy. I'm not complaining. But it is taking about 3 to 4 hours right now of my time to get that going. And right now, with what the show itself is taking, I'm making probably for every show on profit between $50 and $60. I can't complain. Like I said, it is just money to come back. It is nothing huge. But for me, it's the start. I'm seeing it grow. I have to start somewheres. And I think the type of product that I'm doing it with is allowing me to bring good customers in, and I could grow with it. So I'm very happy with that. I will have some of those numbers reported at the end of the month, or at the end of the week, excuse me. And the other things are, I was going to list the goods for my wholesale business. I have one ready to go for the uploads in the sales platform and the inventory management. But the other shipment that was the one that delivered on Monday afternoon, I have to get that stuff done. I don't expect it to take too long, but I do need to get to that. I think how I'm going to restructure the week is I am just going to forego sales on Friday. I did look ahead. There is some decent ones, but I think I'm going to forego that and then spend Thursday and Friday getting some stuff listed on that new eBay platform, and that's kind of how I plan to structure it. I have a show tonight, if I hadn't said it, for the vintage toys again. Tomorrow night, I have the show for the 2 sets of kids clothing that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. I have Friday and Saturday night where the shows I rescheduled from last weekend. So those I'm going to just leave because they do have bookmarks on them. I have a Christmas show on Friday and a kids clothing show on Saturday. But those kids clothes are ones that are coming out of the wholesale business that basically were items returned without tags. So that's what the rest of this week looks like. And then I'll be here with the end of the week wrap up. So I'm here for the end of the week wrap up. It's, I believe, the 23rd of March. Things are moving along. Wholesale business wise, I didn't get to any more of those listings. Kind of wish I did, but you know what? Life moves on. You'll hear why in a minute. But the I still have to get to that because Easter will be here in a blink of an eye. This new eBay store, I did the sale and the coupon stacking again. I started that on Friday to move through till Sunday. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if it was because the sale was just added and the algorithm changed, but the sales started coming in great from Friday into Saturday. And then midway through Saturday, this just seems like the faucet shut off. We haven't seen many more sales, but it runs through till midnight tonight into Monday. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we get some more sales from that, but we have one buyer. Wait till you see the numbers. Then with the same thing, I did get some of my paper from my hobby business listed, and I still have intentions to list more, but I'm going to tell you the end of the week numbers will show how many more of those I could get done. But my main focus has really been on dealing with this whatnot, and wow, has it been popping. But I am tired. I'm just letting you know. I did 6 sales this weekend. I mentioned before I did a Christmas show on Monday. That was the second of my Christmas shows. The first show I originally did was Christmas, and it was a bomb. I did not sell one thing. I changed it up, and in the second one I did on Monday, I started bringing in all of the stuff from the death pile and that dead stock for my business. Lowered the prices to like dollar starts and really started to get things popping. I did another show for my crafting, saw some repetitive buyers come back. Same with the vintage Fisher Price toys. Has some great sales and numbers in that. Move that out. You'll see those at the end of the week numbers. And, you know, I'm just seeing now where the things are starting to grow. The follower numbers are growing. I'm up to 92 currently. Not phenomenal, but for 2 weeks in doing this, I started on March 7th. I can't complain with that number. Then I did Thursday, I had to pick my child up from the airport at the night time. So I decided to not just forgo the day, and I ran during the day a kids clothing show that was the used kids clothing I picked up off of Facebook. But this was the first in that niche, and I'm going to tell you, I think the more that you do in a niche with the same similar theme of a name for the types of products you're selling is really going to help you grow the sales, because that particular sale bombed. I didn't sell one thing, and I particularly think that, for one, I don't have recognition in that brand yet, or excuse me, that theme of shows yet, that category. But, you know, during the day, I would assume if you're a stay-at-home mom, you probably are taking care of the kids. If not, you're probably at work and not on. So I don't have a following. They're not knowing to come on for me yet. And I'm just going to have to grow it. And I understand that, you know, it's going to take several shows now. And I'm going to do a separate episode on what you can do to try to grow your presence on the platform and what I'm seeing that's working for me. Then the next night I did another Christmas show, which would be the 3rd Christmas show that I've done. And I'm going to tell you, they were buying everything I put out. I saw multiple repeat buyers coming back. They really like to take advantage of that combined shipping way that they deal with on the platform, and I was bringing in stuff from the wholesale business that I wanted to clearance out, and I'm telling you, things were selling to the point that piles were getting so large they were kind of like merging into each other. So this is I've had to tell my husband and my son both that in future shows I need them to start helping me. I need some behind the scenes help. And we were talking about how my son can start becoming part of this avenue of the business. He has been on our payroll, and I do usually have him helping through the warehouse and stuff, but with him wanting to do stuff during the summer, I want him a little bit more involved in the business and become more of maybe a partner with me for this whatnot stuff. So him and I are kind of laying out how that's going to look and get through that. And then the last show I did was last night, was stuff I want to clearance out. It was boutique brand clothing for kids, and I was doing it wholesale. I had a few sales, but nothing over the top. But again, it is new for me in that marketplace, and I understand how this is now working, where you just have to keep doing it and selling from one show into the next. I make it a point in every show to talk about what I have coming up in the future, whether it is the toys or the crafting, because some of these buyers do overlap one another. So that's how those things are moving along. I'm very happy with the way the success is going. You'll see the growth in the numbers. But the other thing that we did this week, and I'm looking forward to it, is we made plans for Easter. We are going down to start looking for property where we want to build the retirement home at. He has a friend there, which is what's leading us to that area. This is somebody that we consider to be like a brother to us. And we're going to be spending Easter with him. And we're going to be probably looking for land on one of the days. And then the other day in the weekend, probably Saturday, I'm hoping that there will be some estate sales, maybe some yard sales, and doing some thrifting. The men will be out fishing, but my son and I really look forward to, and I shouldn't say my son is a man, but he's looking more forward to going out with me shopping than going fishing. So I'm really looking forward to this. I have also looked into the summer one community sale in Lancaster. I know when that's going to be happening, so I can start planning for that. So things are starting to happen. I may not be totally through that death pile in the next 2 weeks, but I'm going to tell you, I have hit it hard. Things are selling. I am happy to see that. And let's go into the numbers now. So here we are for the week of March 17th to March 23rd for my sales. My total gross sales were $1,128 with $509 for net sales. You can see now where the whatnot shows are starting to come in here. I unfortunately don't have a way to necessarily break out sometimes what is going to be pure profit out of the purchases I'm making for this endeavor and what is coming out of the business for clearance items. This is where I'm starting to see now where maybe having the books separately would benefit keeping this a more pure business model, but I think it would just get a little too convoluted to try to do it that way. I'll try to break this down as we can. You can see that there are these big rises and falls. This tends to fall with the whatnot shows that I'm doing. I did have some really good sales over this weekend as well with the eBay store. So let's get into the numbers. We had an average gross sale, $29.68, with the average net per sale of $13.39. The net profit margin was 45%, with the average net profit margin of 40%. Sourcing by source. Estate sales are by far, you'll see why. I had one buyer that bought quite a bit of stuff, and most of their stuff was all stuff that came out of the same sales. The number 2 spot is coming into the old store stock. Makes sense. The active listing sources really is kind of thrown off right now. You can see where I am doing almost double the amount of sales on whatnot that I did for eBay. They're saying I spent $192 on new inventory. Not really. Some of this is the money coming from the inputting of my items that sold out of the business. And some of it, I think it was maybe a Facebook purchase I made. The cost of goods is going to be very high because I'm putting in there my full wholesale cost of these goods, which is $354 for some of this stuff, and some of it is going to be the items I purchased to sell on this platform. We had $198 for marketplace fees and shipping label cost of $67.56. We had 37 new listings. Again, that's not really true because what's happening is every time I'm doing a show, I'm having to input the order in, and that looks to me in this program like it is a new listing coming in, and it's really just the number of orders that's coming in. But we'll go through that as we go through the items that sold. There was 39 actual sales that occurred. These numbers are going to be not looking that pure either. So let's go into what's sold. All right, I'm going to the very end because in here are a couple items that I just want to point out were because of the eBay sale. I had this one vintage Fisher Price Little People guy that sold that went off on one of the sales. I did have a net loss on him. There was a hat in here that a different buyer purchased as well. This particular item I will bring up. This was an item that I bought out of I think it was 50 cents. Bought it at a yard sale. It was one of the first yard sales I went to again. And it was one of them things where I was just ready to donate it. I was able to sell it on one of those weekend sales where I allowed them to stack the coupon with the weekend sale. And they were able to buy it for $3.53 with a $4 amount for shipping. I'll go through these as the specifics, and then in the next few, I will just go in the highlights of it. It's saying that I bought this over here for 50 cents is just where I'm pulling that from. Over here is where I'm breaking it down with the $3.53 for the item and $4 for shipping. It did take 9 months to sell. The 30-cent fixed value fee is the banking fee for the transfer of funds. The final value fee is basically the commission. That is usually about 15% of what the eBay totally collected, which in this example is $7.53. I would tell you to go investigate for yourself because that does change based on different criteria in your account and where you're selling the item as far as the category. The actual cost to ship this item was $4.51, so I did lose some money there on shipping. But after everything was said and done, I got my 50 cents back plus another $1.23. They're showing the return on investment was 246% and 16% net profit margin. Those percentages sure look fabulous, but like I said, it was a 50-cent purchase. I was just happy to get back my money and not lose having to donate this item. But looking at some of the other stuff I wanted to bring up, there is this particular item here that was a stocking holder. This item I did get in $3.53 on this item. This buyer bought quite a bit of stuff. This particular item, I was losing money on the item, but made it up on what they charged for shipping. I do need to do a refund to her. Here is where some of my whatnot shows are coming in. She also bought this waving Santa that was like some kind of a squeaker toy. She bought this candle holder with these two angels. Where do you see? This woman bought so much stuff. She bought this Santa tree topper as well for $7.35. She bought these two light cover, or excuse me, this was the blow mold that was a flat back one. She bought these straw angels. She bought this other figure with this candle. I believe this was handmade. It was really cute though. That was like one of my first estate sales. She bought these three angels that were made out of chalkware. Where's the picture? I don't know why. There it is. Just these three angels. Then one of the items that somebody else bought was this. It was a It was made in Amsterdam. It was a reversible skirt. It had this pouch thing on the waist that was kind of like a mini wallet. It was kind of different. I've never seen anything like it. There was different snaps on here, so you could change the fit for different sized waist. This particular item I did spend $1 on, and it was sold for $11.17 with a $6.95 shipping cost for it. And after everything was said and done, I was able to get $8 for it, but it did take 8 months to sell. That's another thing. There was a pretty good sell-through rate on it, but it just wasn't showing that way for me on this particular item. This spider, this Annalee Halloween spider, I took a loss on this because of the markdowns. That's just the way it goes. I had $17 attributed to it. I forget why. I think this estate sale was kind of just me having to do some calculations and doing some averages, and I don't know that I actually that particular item would have cost me that much, but that's just how I had to do the recording for the sale, and I had to try to just get some of my funds back. Looks like the shipping cost was okay. It's just how the attributing for the purchase cost based on the sale cost went. Again, you win some, you lose some in these estates, or when you run these sales. Going through some more, I have some more whatnot shows. We'll go through that in a minute. Here's some more of what that woman bought. She bought these 2 light covers. Those were some items that I bought at a moving sale. I think I put in as a yard sale. There was $2 a piece attached to those, and she spent $10. I don't remember exactly. I guess it was $5 a piece she got. I still made out on that. This woman probably bought about a dozen different things. Here's another item. She bought these pumpkin ceramic hand painted shelf sitters for $11.76. And I guess the last item she bought was this bisque porcelain Christmas tree for $23.52. So after everything was said and done, this says I had a net return of $2 and a negative, so I was underwater on this one as well. But this was another estate sale where I had to attribute different monies, and I was trying to just get my money back out of this item as well. But overall, she spent quite a bit of money. I know I have to do something for shipping for her. I think I need to give her back about $20 in shipping. But overall, if I calculated it all out, I bet you there's $30 or $40 I made on her. The other items in here, if I start looking at the whatnot shows, here is what would be the number 10 sale of the week. Was a Christmas show that I did on the 21st, where the buyer spent $19 for me. When I figured out all of their fees, which are very similar to the way eBay charges for theirs, although their commission is 8%, they do charge 30 cents for each transaction, and they do charge a 2.9% commission on the overall amount collected, and that includes any shipping that the buyer pays directly to Whatnot, because they do on that platform pay for their shipping directly themselves. I do not have to worry about anything for myself in that, although there is 29 cents that I pay because I pay on the 2.9% of what is overall collected, and that is included in that shipping that I don't get to see. After everything was said and done on this particular transaction, I had $14.54 as net profit. That, though, is pretty much just a lot of stuff that has been sitting around my house, or different things that have been sitting around in the business for years that have been written off many years ago, and here we are looking at trying to get some of the money back. There was another sale of $19 where I was able to see $14.86 after everything was said and done. The number 7 spot of the week, wait, that was 10, not, yeah, so this would be 8. This buyer spent $21 in this Christmas show, and I was able to get back $17.54. So you're looking, you know, it's not a lot of money yet. You're looking at 30, maybe not quite $50 in there. Then there was the pumpkin light covers. There was some paper that I sold, my personal collection. There were those pumpkins. Then out of this Fisher Price Little People show, I had a buyer spend $26. And this particular one, I did have a cost of purchasing of 54 cents from an estate sale. And I was able to get back $21.85. So this was an item that was specifically purchased for reselling on the eBay and whatnot platform. I had another Christmas sale in here of where somebody spent $27 and I was able to keep $20.26. There is a $28 purchase that a different buyer spent, and they gave me $22.80 that will be coming in. So you can see that these things are starting to grow. There is another order out of the Christmas show that they spent $32 on. This is where I am having to start now putting in some of the cost from the wholesale business, and that's going to show as a loss only because I spent $48 on some goods and I have to attribute it to some sales, and that just happened to be the one that got charged from there. There is this Longaberger batter bowl. This was a return that came back. I listed this again and somebody bought it at full retail price of $24.99 with $11.85 for shipping. The fixed value fee is 40 cents. There was in here, if you notice the final value, there is an 82-cent ad fee. That is a sponsored ad that I ran, which basically puts my items higher up in the search results than somebody else. The $10 purchase price is in here from where I bought it at a yard sale, and I was able to keep $13.24 back. But again, I will tell you, this is something that got returned, and then I had to relist it again. So realistically, I'm probably underwater on that item. The next highest selling item, I guess this is in the number 5 spot, maybe? No. I guess we had 20 sales on there. Yeah, there was 20 sales. I apologize. So this is another item that did sell. I bought this at a yard sale for $5. They sold on the weekend sale for $26.46 with $10.50 for shipping. After everything was said and done, we got $20.31. So not bad. I had to sit and wait for 8 months, but I was able to take my $5 and turn it into 20. We have some more sales in here that you can see where the whatnot is starting to grow with these Christmas shows. I have a buyer that spent $13.75, but that is not right. They sold for $44. There was $13.75 that came back. Another show of $48. So I will get into some of the higher ones. This particular item was something I bought at one of the last, I think it was the last estate sale I went to in 2024. I have to calculate out how much I spent on this. I probably spent $10 for it. I took an offer of $40. And if I put my $10 cost in there, that means I'm going to get back almost $30 for it. So you can see that there is definitely, this took 3 days to sell. This is an item from knowing my niche. I knew exactly who the designer was. I knew exactly what time period this was, and I knew I was going to be able to get some good money for it. This is missing some of these felt buttons on the front of it, and I still was able to bring back probably about $30 on this sale. Some of the better shows I'll go through the top 3. This was a Fisher Price Little People show I did. I had somebody come in and spend $66. My total purchase costs of these goods were $5.20. That left me, after fees, with a $51.24 return. very good return because I was able to get a huge volume of these items at a very cheap price. So if you're able to go out and do some bulk purchasing in a specific niche and you know your niche, there you go. But in here is where I did purchase these on September 13th, but I didn't do a thing with them until I got to Whatnot. So I have been sitting on them for 6 months. Second highest sale of the week was somebody spent $93 at one of my last Christmas shows that I did. Again, had to attribute quite a bit in here to account for the goods that I spent wholesale for the wholesale business. It's saying I had a net return of $11.51 in the negative, but that has to do with the fact that I'm having to carry over those costs. If you're able to buy bulk and people are going to start following you, knowing that you have some good stuff, you could have a show like this one. I had a buyers come in and spend almost $200 on these Fisher-Price Little People sets. They want to buy everything I have. At the current time, I'm not willing to do that. I feel like I have enough goods for another 2 shows, and I want to get the most I can. There was $24.96 I attributed to the amount of goods that they bought, or they out of what they bought. And after everything was said and done, I had $143.47 as a net profit margin. That left me with an ROI of 575% or a 72% net profit margin. So I hope you enjoyed this show. Hope you're following along to all my ideology as to what's going on. I know it's getting a little more confusing now with me bringing this second marketplace in. I'm not representing, like this $200 in here. This person could have spent probably got 50 or 60 different pieces because they are the little tiny, like the very vintage Fisher-Price little figures that are probably about 2 inches tall. And I could pack the box. And they did a lot of shopping. But realistically, this is where I'm saying these shows are taking me about an hour and a half to do, and then maybe about a half hour of prep time for this particular one. So I'm telling you, explore the platform. That's all I'm going to say. Hope you're enjoying this. Please leave some comments and questions down below. Would appreciate a thumbs up if you're getting anything good out of this. And I will catch you next week. Take care.